If someone tells you that they can make your business recession-proof, they're probably lying to you. No business can really be recession-proof, but what you can do is build resilience and adaptability into your business. Economic downturns can shift how people spend money, but entrepreneurs who steer into that uncertainty and learn how to navigate it will come out on the other side stronger. So in this video, we won't be talking about how to be recession-proof, because that's a sham, but how to learn from industries that are more resilient, how to bring that resilience into your business and give you the tools you need to ride out an economic downturn. Let's dive in. So what makes a resilient industry? There are several factors that resilient industries have in common. One, they solve an urgent and essential need. We saw this during the COVID pandemic. The grocery stores stayed open and stayed in business. Other services were not deemed essential. Resilient industries have a clear transformational outcome. You know that when you call a plumber, your toilet will go from clogged to unclogged if they're a good plumber. That is a very clear outcome people feel comfortable paying for. There is some kind of recurring revenue or long-term client retention. Let's say you are paying for a website hosting service. Well, you're probably not going to turn off that long-term hosting service because you need it to run your business. That is recurring revenue. You're not relying on one-time purchases that might be able to be postponed. And finally, you're solving for a pain point or a problem that people will pay for even in uncertainty. So we saw this again during the COVID pandemic. Some of the industries that stayed resilient were trades and home services. Maybe it shifted from new construction to repairs because people were going to be in their homes. Healthcare and wellness stays resilient. Not all of it, but people are tending to prioritize health. But for the segment of the population you work with, you might not. So you have to understand your audience segment. Financial services and legal services tend to be more resilient because when times are tight, people are looking at legal options. People are understanding how to manage their finances. Again, security, lowest level on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So things that are tending to our space and security tend to be more resilient even during economic downturns. And there are some industries that actually buy into the dip, day trading or stock speculating, although we're not going to cover that here. These are some industries that are more resilient. And so again, how can we learn from these industries? They have that urgent or essential need. They provide a clear outcome. They have some kind of recurring revenue or long-term client retention play, and they solve a pain point people will pay for even in uncertainty. The fifth part of the, again, resilient industries is a very premium luxury service that caters to people where a recession and a downturn doesn't really impact their buying capacity. So in the rest of this video, we're going to take the lessons from some of these more resilient industries and apply them to your service-based business. So there are 7 strategies I recommend for how to make your business more resilient and how to navigate that economic uncertainty. Step number 1, you must understand your market and your client behavior. People don't just completely stop spending in a recession. Most economic downturns shift where money flows, not whether people spend at all. So it's important to understand what's happening in your industry, what's happening for your clients. In 2025, as I'm recording this video, if you are a DEI consultant serving government industries in the United States, that entire market might be hit. If you are serving automotive or steel industries, again, in the United States in 2025, you might see hesitancy to invest in major initiatives. But that doesn't mean that that's your entire market base. You'll want to understand how impacted your industry is with any particular downturns. We say the tech industry, but the tech industry is a lot of industry. So don't just look at your industry, look at your slice of the market, look at your particular demographics, and also look at the type of service you are providing with that target market. So you might notice, for example, that your clients are prioritizing some investments, but not other investments even in your industry. So again, how can you understand what's going on in your market, what's going on with your particular service, and whether or not you need to pivot your market, pivot your service, or just pivot your messaging? Step 2, during economic uncertainty, is care for your existing clients and retain your revenue. There's a lot of focus in building a business about getting new clients, about new leads, about new relationships. But in an economic downturn, the people that are going to trust you the most are the people that are already working with you. So instead of trying to get and close new business, how are you first and foremost making sure you are taking exquisite care of your existing customers? So, a couple of ways to be doing that. One is transparent account planning. So, instead of like hoping that you're going to stay in the budget, have a longer term conversation about their priorities, about what they're investing in, how your initiatives are in line with their corporate initiatives. And if they are not, what you both need to do in order to pivot who you're serving and how you're serving within that organization. So, transparent account planning, making sure that you are staying top of mind with what your service is to what the client is actually investing in and paying attention to. Two, clearly communicating results and ROI. If what you do for a company is a little more squishy and you haven't been as good at demonstrating results, demonstrating utilization, demonstrating return on investment, the client might think that you're nice to have or something easy to cut. And we don't want to do that. You want to be making sure that you are demonstrating results, talking about your projects, talking about the deliverables that you've done, and making sure the client and all of their stakeholders, your primary purchaser is not usually the only one you have to convince to keep your investment. Make sure that they know what you've been working on, the results you've gotten, and what you're planning to work on next. Three, co-develop strategies with clients. So instead of just selling a service, really be a strategic partner for your clients. And again, think creatively, think strategically, think out of the box about what their priorities are and how, as someone already positioned in the organization, how can you help them achieve those priorities? Even if it maybe goes outside of your core service, how can you bring in partners? How can you, again, be that strategic partner that gives them what they're looking for during this time instead of simply selling the productized service that you have on the shelf? Maybe you're a marketing agency that usually works on big ad campaigns or 6 to 12-month strategies. But in this environment, a 12-month strategy, what does that even mean? Because we don't know what the economic outlook is going to be in 12 months. So instead, maybe you pivot your service to more quarterly survival plans. So short-term, high impact, more sprint style marketing strategies that you can then pivot as you need. So that might be a way to take what you're already doing and pivot it to meet the moment. The third thing, and maybe one of the most important things, is shifting your messaging to match economic uncertainty. Position your offering in your work lower on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because people in this times need certainty, they need clarity, they need problem solved, they need pain addressed. They don't necessarily need vague transformation promises, unless that's your target market, unless that's the message they get out of bed for every day. But most people are not necessarily in this market afraid of missing out. They are afraid of messing up. So how can you make your messaging slightly more about turning your work from a expendable or a treat or something that can be delayed to something that's essential by, again, tailoring your messaging to more clarity, more talking about stability, more talking about safety, more lower on the hierarchy of needs. As an example, instead of align with your true purpose, which may feel like a luxury or may feel like a nice to have, your messaging might, for this period of time, shift to moving through uncertainty with clarity and confidence. Let's say you're doing mission-driven equity work. You might be a DEI and equity consultant. Instead of how do we think about equity-centered strategies for growth, it's how do we maintain our equity commitments even during a downturn. Let's say you're a career coach. Instead of your messaging being find your dream job, which is difficult when there's a lot of economic uncertainty, but it could be how to navigate career transitions during uncertainty. Again, you keep doing the same thing, but you change your message just to be a touch less dreaming, aspirational, and more grounded in kind of the economic realities that people are facing. The number 4 strategy, shifting and reconsidering your offer structure. I know many people have signature products that are year-long programs or high-price services or even sell in retainers. What's challenging for people is when the duration's too long, they feel locked in, when they don't totally know what they're getting, and when the structure's not clear. So instead of selling longer, more complex, higher term programs out of the gate, you might actually chunk up your projects into smaller engagements that build trust over time. You don't want to drop your price. When someone says, oh, I can't afford that, we don't want to drop price, but we do want to think about how can we change the structure. So instead of discounting a $5,000 program or a $10,000 or $20,000 program, how can you break it up into phases where they just commit to one phase at a time, or just commit to the first phase instead of committing to the entire project? You might introduce easy entry offers like a workshop or an intensive or an audit. So if someone doesn't know you and doesn't trust you yet, instead of selling the high price service out of the gate, you might sell something smaller that allows you both to build trust and get more clarity on what the outcome of the big project will be. You want to think about offering potentially high value payment plans instead of cutting costs. You want to think about introducing structures that will reduce risk for the client. So maybe guarantees or changing payment terms or an opt-out clause if after the first 30 days it's not working. And if you offer something that is more nebulous like a retainer, make sure that your process lets you set up clear deliverables so that you can report back to your company on the progress that you've made. So instead of marketing retainer, it is we're going to set up and execute every 90 days this specific action plan. That way people know what they're getting, you know what scope is, you feel like it's fairly priced, but people can ground themselves in the security of knowing what they'll get, and that if something were to change in the environment, they can opt out or they can end early without feeling like they were lost in the process. How can you make it easier for people to start working with you without underpricing your value? Number 5, also when it relates to sales, you want to double down on your trust building. In an economic uncertainty, things are on pause a little bit more. Sales cycles are longer. People take longer to make a decision and require more trust. So the sales cycles slow down, but trust speeds them up. How can you double down on trust building during the process? Some of this is your systems. How are you consistently and regularly reaching out to your prospects, and not just a, hey, are you ready to start yet? Although that's helpful and valuable. How can you be reaching out with helpful resources, with invitations, with connections? How can you be adding value to your prospects and helping them feel safer and secure about the decisions that they are going to make? Maybe you do want to offer a free consultative strategy session or something that helps them ease their nervous systems and ease their fears about investing in something. How can you send case studies and testimonials and, again, that high value content that illustrates your process? And don't assume silence means no. You want to be, again, following that system to follow up consistently, because, one day tariffs are on, one day tariffs are off, one day this has happened, one day that has happened. They may decide that they're ready to work with you now. Your job is the one that keeps showing up in the inbox, keeps showing up on the LinkedIn, keeps showing up in their messages, and someone that they're looking forward to hearing from. You do not want to spam people, and you do not want to follow up with people who have said, stop following up with me. But you do want to be helpful for people when they're ready, because when they're ready, they're going to look for the easiest solution. And if you happen to be in their inbox, that might be you. So how are you showing up consistently so your audience doesn't forget you? The next one is about internal. It's about how can you strengthen your financial position. What kills businesses during recessions isn't a loss of clients. It's running out of cash. Loss of clients is part of that, but you need to know what your financial position looks like. You need to know your cash flow, how money's flowing in and out of your business, not just your bank balance. You need to know how much you're bringing in. You need to know how much is going out every day. And you need to have a plan for what happens if you lost 20% of your revenue, if you lost 30% of your revenue. You want to have a plan now so that you don't need to make decisions out of fear and scarcity when the unthinkable happens. You can start putting together those contingency plans. Who are suppliers that you can potentially negotiate terms with? Who are clients that you can incentivize to make payments earlier if you need the cash? You can have a plan for what staff you would potentially cut, or how would you handle that, and start changing your investment strategy now for any of the unnecessary expenses that may have come into your business when times were good. You want to be looking at what's your bank balance, what are the numbers that, if they happen, mean you need to execute on a plan, and you want to have that plan dialed in first when you're not necessarily needing it, so that if something happens, you are ready. The best time to apply for credit is when you don't need it. The best time to have a contingency plan is when you don't have to execute it right away. So strengthen your financial position and understand when you would need to make any changes. And finally, the last is mindset. You've heard the phrase buy the dip in the stock market. If you have the cash to invest, you want to buy when there's a recession, you want to buy the dip. But in this case, you want to be smart about it. You want to keep marketing. You want to keep investing in relationships, even when things feel slow. Oh my God, it's slow right now. It's not slow for everybody. Some people will have an urgent need. They will need to buy your service. Keep marketing, keep investing. But also, don't be afraid to, if you're in the financial position to do so, make some investments. This year, we might be heading into a recession, and I'm still moving full steam ahead with publishing my book, with handling my rebrand. Even if my clients pull back, these are investments I am prepared to make. I'm looking at my financial position and saying, this is going to help accelerate me out of this uncertainty and this downturn. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to do the things I know create clients. Maybe there's a slowdown for a period of time, but if I keep showing up to my business consistently with intention and navigating the market with what's changing, I will make it through any economic downturn. So again, cut the fat to create margin for this in your business. Software and tools you're paying for and not using, communities and memberships that aren't driving value, potentially underutilized team members, cut out projects that aren't working for you or aren't generating value, steer into the ones that are, and keep doing and planting the seeds that are working for you. Cut out the excess, focus on what's important. So in this, what's one move you can make today to set yourself up for long-term success? This isn't about investing random things on a hope and a dream. This is about the strategic investments in the areas of focus you can dial in on when the world feels like it's falling apart. So to recap our 7 strategies: 1, understand your market and client behavior. Know where the money is flowing in your industries or outside of your industries and what you can do to capture that cash. 2, care for existing clients and retain revenue. Don't just be looking for new clients, be looking at how you can be partnering with your clients during economic uncertainties and being the right strategic partner, demonstrating value, demonstrating relationships. 3rd, potentially change your messaging towards economic uncertainty, recognizing that people might be looking for something different as an outcome when they're looking for safety and security. And then 4, changing your offer structures and increasing value to match the economic time. So this might be changing your offer structure to be something shorter and more concrete. This might be changing your payment structures and allowing extended payment plans. This might be reducing risk by having phased approaches to your work or by offering guarantees or opt-out clauses. So how can you change your offer structure to increase or maintain value without dropping price? And number 5 is, again, double down on trust building and having a proactive sales development process. Number 6 is strengthening your financial position. And number 7 is mindset, buying the dip and steering into the uncertainty, but being smart about it. Keep investing in the activities that are working for you, ditch the excess, and again, stay grounded in what you can and can't control. No business can be recession-proof. But you can put these 7 practices in place in order to build resilience, to anchor into some security, and to know that you are doing what you can in order to navigate economic uncertainty. So if you took some strategy away, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. What is one activity you're going to do to increase resilience in your business? And if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Tell a friend.